What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, Philly the podcast. Have you subscribed yet? Have you liked yet? I don't know, but I'm gonna give you a couple seconds. This is gonna be on a couple seconds. Do it right now, right now, right now. What's good, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro. You know what it is, aka Philly Fresco. It's Philly the podcast. And we back. We back so sweet. So today we're gonna go over the top five teams that we play that I fear the most. Is your team on here? Well, we'll see. So we're just going to go right into it. We're going to start right off. So we're going to start right off with the Ravens. Last year, they were 14-2. I think it goes without saying that team is very scary. They have some really good key additions, which I'll pop up right there. So they did add Calais Campbell. They added Derek Wolfe, who I think is going to be an underrated lineman for them. And then they got Malik Harrison and Patrick Queen in the draft. Very good draft picks. Again, that defense should be really good. It should be very fun to watch. They did lose Marshall Yanda, who's I think he's 36. He was old. He's old. So, I mean, it's going to hurt their O-line a little bit, but I think they'll be all right. And they lost Hayden Hurst. He didn't play much last year, but they didn't lose much, so I kind of just put him as someone there. I do have their prediction for next year. I think they're going to go 12-4. I think they'll be just as good as a team. Maybe, have a couple more slip-ups. People will start to realize what they do a little bit more. Maybe stop Lamar Jackson a little bit more. Easier said than done. I don't see us in our prediction, in the season prediction, I should say. I didn't have us beating them. I just don't see it. We have a hard time against mobile quarterbacks, and Lamar Jackson fits that mold perfectly. He's, the definition of a mobile quarterback. I do have them, like I said, going 12-4. I do have that as a loss for the Eagles. So that's the number one team that I am afraid of. What do you think about them? Do you think that they're going to be better, 12-4? How do you feel? Is it going to be a better record, worse record? What do you guys think? Next, I have the public enemy number one for Eagles fans. I have the Cowboys. Last year, they were 8-8. Now, why do I have the Cowboys? Maybe on paper they are really good. Every year they're, supposed to be a championship contender on paper. But it's in our division. They are a decent enough team that it's going to give us some troubles. And it's, like I said, it's a division game. You never know. Even if they're 2-10 when they see us, it's still going to be a tough game, Division rivals are just always going to give us a hard time. Dak Prescott, I mean, he's playing on a one-year deal. He'll probably ball out a little bit. He has the weapons around him to do so. They did lose a couple people. They did add a couple people. We'll start with the key additions. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb, someone the Eagles were really, I believe were really high on. The Cowboys went in there and swooped them up. A little bit of payback for the Dallas Goedert pick, maybe. So they got CeeDee Lamb. They got Gerald McCoy as a free agent. He's older. He's a vet, but he can still give you quality snaps. He's going to be pretty good. I don't think he's going to be as good as Robert Quinn was for them. Robert Quinn really did some good things for that defensive line, but they got him. They obviously also have Mike McCarthy. This is the only team I put a head coach as a key addition because we all know Garrett, Mr. Clapp, is 8-8, his whole life. He's the new Jeff Fisher. So I put him. We'll see what he does with this offense. Like I said, they have a lot of weapons, probably more weapons than – I don't know. Yeah. It's close. Yeah, I would say probably more weapons than he had with Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, you had Aaron Rodgers, so that's a little bit of a difference. But Dak Prescott has a lot of players around him. And then also they added Clinton Dix to fill in that safety position. A lot of people are talking about them going and getting Jamal Adams, which would be huge for them. I think whoever can land Jamal Adams, it's going to be huge for that franchise, huge for that team. I don't see them doing it. I don't see them really, being able to put the pieces together to get him, especially with the whole Dak Prescott thing. I feel like players see what's going on, and like owners think they don't. You know what I mean? He says that he's down to go play for the Cowboys, but I don't know if they're, I think people are going to shy away more just because of the whole Dak Prescott contract situation. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be 100% wrong. You guys tell me what you think. And then obviously their key losses, they did lose some really good players, some really big pieces to their team. Obviously the biggest one is probably Travis Frederick, or Fredericks, excuse me. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. Who really cares? He's a Cowboy. But he did retire, citing injuries and just, a disease, I believe. I could be wrong about that. But he's gone. So that's huge. That's an all pro, all NFL, all world center right there that you're losing. They say they have some people to fill in that position. We will see. Only time will tell. They also obviously lost Byron Jones, another player that the Eagles were in on in free agency. Obviously, he went and got that bag in Miami, so can't be too mad at him. But losing him on that defense is going to be very big. That's going to be a big hole to fill. They don't have anybody, I believe, that can just go right in there and be as good as Byron Jones that was. I think his numbers are kind of they're a little skewed. He's not a big playmaker type cornerback. We'll see what happens. He's kind of giving me Namdi type vibes. Like he's a shutdown corner that doesn't really get the interceptions you want. Namdi got him early in his career. We obviously all know what happened when he went to Philly, but we shall see. We'll see what Byron Jones becomes in Miami. Also, they lost, Jeff Heath. Another safety. He's a veteran. He's an older guy. He's been with them for a while. Losing him, I think, is going to be more of a locker room thing. I don't think it'll really affect them on the field that much, but it is a loss, and obviously picking up Ha Clinton-Dix is just an upgrade at that position. So I don't think that's a huge loss, but it is a loss nonetheless. And then you have Robert Quinn. Obviously, Gerald McCoy kind of comes in and takes that position as a veteran D lineman. McCoy, I believe, plays more D tackle. Obviously, Robert Quinn was more of a D end. But it's probably just a rotational piece that they lost. But Robert Quinn did have a pretty good year. I'm kind of surprised they didn't want to bring him back. So they lost him as well. I do have them predicted to go 9-7. They did go 8-8 last year. I don't see them falling off. I don't see Mike McCarthy having a terrible year. I just don't think that they're a playoff team. I think it'll take a little while for them to gel, which is kind of weird because Dak's on a 1-year deal. So if they don't perform, like let's say halfway through the year, they're 4-4. Let's say they're 500, 8 weeks into the year. Are you paying Dak that big money, And then if you don't, what are you doing next? Does Mike McCarthy get 3 or 4 years to find a quarterback and figure it out with him? The Cowboys have a lot of questions. I do have them going 9-7, and I do have us splitting with them in the regular season. I see us, winning one, them winning one. But I don't see them making the playoffs. Maybe 9-7 would make it, but I don't think it will. So that's my prediction with them. Again, what do you guys think? Do you think 9-7 is too low? Too high, I wanted to put 3 and 13, but I wanted to be, a little unbiased. So I put 9-7. Next we have, I feel like they're in our division because we play them every year and they give us headaches every year, whether it's in the playoffs or the regular season or both. Like last year, they're just a thorn in our side, and that's the Seattle Seahawks. So 2019, they went 11-15, obviously winning their wild card game against us, with Davian Clowney being the little cheap shot artist that he is. So 11-5, great record. Didn't get much further than us. So this is their key additions. They did add Carlos Hyde, which should be pretty nice to see. They do have a nice little stable of running backs. I don't think Marshawn Lynch is coming back, so Carlos Hyde will probably take that role. You saw them kind of transform into a running team last year, which is really nice. Going to really help Russell Wilson become a quarterback that lasts longer. Early in his career, he was running around doing a lot of things on his own. Now with the running game being more of the centerpiece, he'll probably be a little bit healthier. At least I'm sure that's the plan. They also got Philip Dorsett from the Patriots, obviously a free agent. Not a huge pickup. I think he can be something. He has the speed. We see what Russell Wilson does with the wide receivers that he has. So I think he can contribute. I think he can be a very good contributor pretty early. And then you have Quentin Dunbar and you have Brandon Shell. Now I'm saying them together because they both came from a Washington trade. So they got those two from Washington. So that should be Interesting. Quentin Dunbar, I don't think he's got much left in his tank. I don't know if he's going to go there to be an automatic starter. Brandon Shaw is kind of an unknown tackle, but they need offensive line very, very bad, which brings us to our next point, which is the key losses for them. I put Jadeveon Clowney as number one with a question mark. We don't know where he's going to sign, if he's going to sign back to the Seahawks or if he's going to go to a different team. That's kind of up in the air, but for now, I do have him as a key loss. That's obviously going to hurt their D-line a little bit. He's a great player, very athletic. He's a disruption whenever he's on the field, so that's a big loss. Then they lost Justin Britt and DJ Fluker. I put those together because they're both offensive linemen, both cut. I believe DJ Fluker started last year too, which was kind of weird. And he's a guard, if I'm not mistaken. So, they cut him. And their offensive line was very bad last year. That's not a secret. And that's nothing that they're trying to hide. That's rough. So for the prediction for 2020, I have them going 10-6. One game off. I think Russell Wilson just makes them a playoff contender every year. And like I said, with the running game being as good as it is, they're going to be there. In the late parts of the season, they'll probably be fighting for a playoff spot. So I do have them at 10-6. I did have them. I believe I had us beating them for once, which would be amazing. I would love that. So what do you guys think? Do you think 10-6 is too high, too low? What's going on? What do you guys think? Next. So now we got two more. Next, we got the San Francisco 49ers. Now, this team, I say that they're the scariest team, but it also does come with kind of a caveat because their one main strength is running the ball, and one of our main strengths as a defense is stopping the run. So it should be very interesting to see if Jimmy G can beat us by himself because he's going to have to. And then you have Darius Slay on the back end and all that. So I think we can beat them. I think we're, the type of team that's built to beat them, but they are a great team. So we go through, their 2019 record, obviously 13-3. They had a great year, great defense. We'll go through their key additions real quick. So they added Brandon Ayuk. They traded up to get him in the draft. They added Jalen Hurd, another wide receiver in the draft. They added Trent Williams from the Washington Redskins. That's a huge pickup. They lost someone that he's going to be filling in for, which I'll go over in a second. But Trent Williams, the all-pro left tackle from the Washington Redskins, who basically sat out all last year, will be a San Francisco 49er. So that should be interesting. That should definitely help a lot. And then you have Javon Kinlaw, who I think is one of the steals of the draft. He really fell real far. And for him to go to a team like the 49ers that have built that defensive line for years and years, that's just he doesn't have to go in there and be a star off the rip, but he has the players around him and the team around him that can allow him to become that pretty quickly too. So I think that was a very, very good pick from them. And then they had Quan Alexander. They picked him up as a free agent, gave that man that bag from Tampa Bay, which I think he's another underrated player. I think a lot of people aren't really talking to him. He did get paid pretty well, so they obviously know he's a good player. He's young, and that is a very big pickup for them. Linebacker last year wasn't a weakness per se, but it wasn't one of their strengths. Now you have players at every position, every level of the field. All 11 men are going to really be spectacular players. Really, that defense is going to be very, very good. Which brings me to my key losses. So they obviously lost Emmanuel Sanders, which was a big loss. That was their number one wide receiver. And they didn't have the greatest passing, offense last year anyways. Maybe Brandon Ayuk and Jalen Hurd can kind of step in and I think Brandon Ayuk will probably step in and take over for Emmanuel Sanders. They got very similar play styles, so I can see that happening. Now, this is why I saw the Trent Williams trade as such a big trade for them. They did lose Joe Staley, all-pro left tackle, great player, probably a Hall of Famer. They lost Joe Staley, so getting Trent Williams, you don't, theoretically, you don't miss a heartbeat. You have somebody that you can plug and play, and he's going to be a, Pro Bowler for you hopefully. So they lost Joe Staley, replaced him with Trent Williams. That was big. And then they lost DeForest Buckner. Now, this is another reason why I say that the Javon Kinlaw trade was such a steal. You kind of, I don't want to say DeForest, but I'm not going to say Javon Kinlaw is better than, DeForest Buckner right now. But they're very close, and obviously Javon Kinlaw is very young. DeForest Buckner is very young as well, but I don't think you're losing much. I don't think you're losing, a bunch of good plays, or you're losing a bunch of snaps. I think Javon Kinlaw is going to do fine, and he's going to take over for DeForest Buckner just perfectly. He's actually probably a little bit better as a defensive tackle because he's bigger. But anyway, so then we have Matt Breida, who I thought the Eagles were going to grab. They didn't. The Eagles didn't grab anybody I thought they were going to grab. It's been weird, but it is what it is. So they lost Matt Breida. I don't think that's going to be that huge of a loss. They have Mostert still. They still have Coleman, and they have someone else, McKissick. Or I can't say his name. J.D. McKissick, whatever the hell his name is. But from the Vikings, so y'all know who I'm talking about. But they have him too. They run 3 running backs all the time. I don't think they're going to lose much from Matt Breida. Obviously he's very fast. He was, pretty good, solid for them, but I don't think it's a huge loss. That's kind of why I have it at the bottom. And then I have for their prediction, I see them going 11-5, mainly because of that defense and that running game. I'm not a huge believer in Jimmy G. I don't think he's the franchise quarterback that they paid him to be, or even traded for him to be. But so it is what it is. I see them going 11-5. I do see us beating them. Like I said, I think we're built to beat them. But what do you guys think? 13-3, too high, too low? Make sure to comment and let me know what you think. And then we go down to the last one, the last team. I know you guys were waiting. Yeah, you guys are ready. The New Orleans Saints. This is another team kind of like the Seahawks that are just a thorn in our side. I feel like every year they should just be in our division because we play them so damn much. And every year it's either a close game or they just blow us out. So last year they went 13-3, had a very good year. This year they have some decent additions, nothing crazy. I think they're kind of going to throw out the same team that they had last year, which, if it's not broke, why fix it, right? So their key additions this year, for me at least, are Latavius Murray, the running back. He's going to be a good spell for Alvin Kamara. He's a big body guy, have that kind of thunder, lightning type 1-2 punch. That'll be good for them, especially for Drew Brees. He's getting older. You kind of want to take a little bit of the pressure off his shoulders, a little bit of the weight off his shoulders. And then they got Jameis Winston, Mr. Eat them. We're going to eat them W's, boy. I mean, we'll see. I would have kept Teddy Bridgewater at that point, to be honest. He played well when he was called upon, and he's young. You could have taught him some things. Jameis Winston, 30 for 30, Mr. 30 for 30. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Hopefully he doesn't have to play. I'm sure that's the Saints' mindset. Hopefully he's not going to go out there and they can just kind of mold him over the year and maybe have somebody to replace Drew Brees next year. But we'll see. I don't know. What do you guys think of Jameis Winston, actually? I kind of want to know. Do you think he's going to end up suiting up for the Saints? We'll see. And then they added Emmanuel Sanders, another weapon for Drew Brees. Like I said, Drew Brees is getting up there in his age, but he's still got a great arm, still very accurate, still a very, very smart quarterback. So, adding weapons never hurts. It never hurts. Now we're going to go to the key losses, which are going to be right up here. Number one, Drew Brees lost his damn mind. That's one of their key losses. I mean, we all know what happened. We all heard what he said when he was, with the "I would never stand for someone disrespecting my flag," which is fine, bro. Terrible timing. I'm not gonna go too far into it. If you want to, hear what I thought about that, check out the video. I'll put the link right up here. It'll be right up here. But either way, yeah, he lost his damn mind. So that's number one. That's probably the biggest loss. And then they lost Larry Warford, offensive lineman. He's up there in age. I think they have a younger guy they're trying to kind of bring along the way. So I don't think it's a huge loss, but it is a loss nonetheless. Whenever you lose people on the line, it's never a good thing. They obviously lost Teddy Bridgewater. Like I said, I would have probably just kept him over Jameis Winston, bringing in Jameis Winston, but it is what it is. Maybe he didn't want to stay. Who knows? And then they lost Eli Apple. He kind of is trash. Let's all remember that he was a top 10 pick by the Giants. So good job, Giants. Way to really waste a pick there. Yeah, they're great there. So yeah, Eli Apple isn't really that big of a loss, but he's a big enough name that it's like, wow, okay, he got cut. Now the Saints, I think that they're going to have a bit of a fall off. I see them going 9-7 in 2020. Mainly because I don't know what's going to go on with Drew Brees, to be honest. And I know I might be overreacting. I might be overstating it. It might not be that big of a deal. His teammates might be over it. But I don't know, man. That people are going to look at him differently inside of that locker room no matter what. No matter what. So it's gonna be rough, We'll see. Especially with you heard what Malcolm Jenkins said, he's not gonna let him live with that. He's not gonna let that pass. The younger guys are saying, it is what it is. They accept his apology, which I kind of expected. Get that money. It is what it is. It's a business at the end of the day. If you got to work with him for one more year, get it over with, get you a ring maybe, and move on from there, and then just don't talk to him. It is what it is. But those are my top 5. Who are your top 5? Who would you change? Would you, take the Saints out? Would you take somebody else out? What are you guys thinking? How do you feel about the season, guys? But I am very excited. It's coming very shortly. And I just realized I live in St. Pete now. And so I live like 20 miles away from where the Super Bowl is going to be this year. So if we have a Super Bowl, definitely be sure to be with me there, because I'm definitely going to be up there with the camera just going crazy. You heard me? But it is what it is. You know what time it is. Fly, Eagles, fly. And I'm out, y'all. Peace.